Moving on to our third topic of the morning, MLS coaching. A lot of folks out there speculating that Wilfried Nancy's disastrous 33-day stint at Celtic would set back MLS coaching from jumping abroad. But on the heels of that, Eric Ramsey, the youngest MLS coach, getting the nod and going to West Bromwich Albion over in England.
Yeah, I mean, what is he, 12 years old, 13 years old? That's an incredible achievement for a teenager. No, he's a very young coach. I mean, that's part of the story here. There are two sides to this, obviously. There's the West Brom side and there's the Minnesota United side. So on the West Brom side, are they taking a risk here, Rob? Absolutely they are. Absolutely
young player.
They are.
A young coach from a league, not a top league. So, it is a gamble in a way, but I'm sure they're going to justify it when they look at his defensive record.
Well, okay, so that's the thing, is that even though he's only 34, and even though his only experience is in Major League Soccer, he's got 1.5 seasons under his belt. I think he came in the middle. I guess he got hired in February after training camp was already over, and so missed just the beginning of the 2024 season. So effectively 2 seasons, right? And did some things and made some progress, got his team into the playoffs. But the other part of the story, obviously, for Eric Ramsey, for anybody who's paying attention, is the way that his teams play. It's not just defensive, it's how they score their goals. Now, they score their goals, set pieces, and long throw-ins. Now, this is the mode du jour of playing winning football a la Arsenal. But, of course, Arsenal also has incredibly technical, very talented players who can score goals other ways. And not to denigrate anybody playing for Minnesota United last season, but they were dire to watch. They were and he makes no apologies, right? I do respect the fact that Eric Ramsey is a guy who has never said, we play this way because, it's the best way for us. He's just like, no, this is how we play. This is how we win. And if you're West Brom, and you go look at the championship standings right now, West Brom is in 18th place. They're on 31 points. Remember, the 24 teams in the championships, you play 46 total games. So they still have 20 matches left to go in this season. They are 8 points up on Norwich City in the relegation battle, right? And there's a bunch of teams between them. Well, 3. Charlton, Blackburn, and Portsmouth are between them and the relegation zone. So I think it's interesting to wonder, are West Brom really in a relegation-threatened season, Rob? Would you say that? I mean, should
They're
they
flirting
be
with it? They might have made this move before they get truly sucked in.
And sometimes that's the right thing to do, right? Sometimes you can't, sunk cost fallacy, you can't keep holding on to a manager when things are going bad, and then, oh my God, things are terrible, we better make a change, and then it's too late. I get that. But West Brom is making a choice here. They are eschewing anything close to entertaining football for a bid just to stay in the championship. Because what Eric Ramsey is going to do is strip away any fun that West Brom fans might have watching their team play. Now, maybe they'll lean into it the way the Minnesota United fans did, and it becomes the identity of your team. And again, this is very different. And of course, they have Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard, but Arsenal has leaned into this identity of, we are going to stop you from scoring goals, and we are going to find goals on set pieces. And their set piece coach was going absolutely bonkers next to Mikel Arteta when they nearly scored the winner against Liverpool last weekend. I mean, I was just during the midweek, I was just kind of stunned by how upfront the set piece coach was in the drama of the final corner kick that Arsenal got in that game, because that's their identity, right? And maybe West Brom is completely fine with that. And I don't have an in with the West Brom faithful to know whether they care about this or not. Like, maybe they don't. Maybe staying up is the most important thing. And of course, West Brom would imagine themselves in the Premier League if they can get their act together in a year or two. That's the kind of club they're supposed to be. So I think that this is interesting from that part of it. Like, Eric Ramsey, maybe he didn't lead the way, and maybe because it's MLS, it didn't quite get as much attention. But I certainly think that in certain analytical quarters, the way people think about football, Eric Ramsey's kind of a star. Like he has to be at 34 to even get this job.
Right. Yeah, they're viewing him as an up-and-coming star. Maybe they're looking past the league and his experience and just saying, this guy, he's that young and he's getting that kind of results. He got his club their best ever results at such an early age. That in its own right is pretty incredible. But West Brom's situation, they are 7 points off the relegation zone, which Norwich is in. They've scored 29 goals in 26 games, so that seems about his sort of ballpark there. And when this story came out, one of the top comments kind of made me chuckle. It was like, I think it was a Minnesota fan saying, "Why does West Brom hate their fans?" Because they know that there is not going to be a whole lot of a highlight reel.
This is football. This is football stoicism, right? This is the guys who use the flails to whip themselves because of original sin or what, that's the kind of, maybe I'm overstating a bit, but I've talked to Eric Ramsey, right? I've interviewed him on the radio. I've watched his teams play. I've seen his comments. The man is committed to this. And so from that perspective, West Brom's making a choice. But I also said this to you at the top of the show or before we started, and the reason for Eric Ramsey to take this job and leave Minnesota United, where he's built himself a little bit of a fiefdom, right? Like he could continue to do this at Minnesota, continue to try to squeeze blood from a stone and get Minnesota United in the playoffs every year and maybe make a run and push everybody, when they play San Diego in San Diego wants the ball, Minnesota makes it difficult. Like he could keep doing this. Does this indicate that the English Championship is still that much better in the mind of a coach than Major League Soccer? Now, and I think you do have to consider that Eric Ramsey himself is British. Like if he wasn't British, maybe the pull wouldn't be so distinct, so strong on him. I don't know. I think that also, though, whether you're British or not, if you go to West Brom, you keep them up, maybe even improve their position a little bit, you now have a reputation as a guy who's a fixer, who can do something like this. And I don't know what Eric Ramsey's ultimate goals are, if he wants to manage at Manchester United, where he was the set-piece coach. But he could become that guy, right? Maybe not Sean Dyche. That's probably not the right way to look at it. Maybe not Sam Allardyce exactly, but something in that mode, right? A manager who gets more from less, and particularly a manager who can do a job when you're threatened by relegation.
Yeah, and there's a whole skill to that, and lots of coaches have made whole entire careers of that, of not necessarily excelling, but doing well enough to solidify, batten up the hatches, and keep their teams in their leagues. And so I think the other part of this, what West Brom's looking for.
I'm sorry to cut you off. The other part of this, obviously, that we should just acknowledge is after the Wilfried Nancy implosion at Celtic, following Jesse Marsch at Leeds, and going all the way back to Bob Bradley at Swansea. And there's even a new Guardian article out, I think today or yesterday, that has quotes from Bob Bradley, quotes from Chris Armas, who was an assistant at Man United under Ralph Rangnick, about the American coaching experience in England. Now, Eric Ramsey's not American. I mean, he was only here for a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it was. So he doesn't have how much of MLS sticks to Eric Ramsey as he goes off to West Brom, Rob, in terms of the reputation of MLS.
I feel like if he has a good first month, it's completely drains away off of him. And if he has success, I think that'll be a light footnote. It'll be, young English manager does well, will probably most likely come out to be the narrative. And it could be a footnote. Like it wouldn't be, not everyone that comes over from Major League Soccer is a disaster, but I imagine he'll just be credentialed as a young and upcoming English manager there. So we'll see how that all pans out in the English Championship for the Minnesota United FC coach. Eric Ramsey headed out after he brought Minnesota United their best season in 2025, getting 16 regular season wins and finishing fourth in the Western Conference.